64%. That's how much traffic the number one result on Google just lost. And right now, thousands of Shopify store owners are still grinding to get ranked at the top, paying agencies, spamming keywords, and waiting months and months to fight for rankings that barely get clicked anymore because they don't know the game has already changed underneath them. And 65% of searches now end without a single click to a website, which means you could rank number one today and still miss the customer. But there's actually good news for you because I'm going to show you a strategy that can actually flip it in your favor. Because there's a completely different game running right now, one where small Shopify store owners like you have a chance to compete with the big dogs. And I brought AI and SEO expert Ralph from Smart Bug Media to help break it all down. We're going to talk about 3 secrets to helping you get cited and not just searched. So before we get into that, I want to share something with you, right? For those of you a little bit new here, I'm Mike AEO, right? I helped you scale our e-com brand to over 7 figures, and I've helped hundreds of stores across the globe build profitable Shopify brands. And that's why it's so important for me to talk to you about how this game has changed. Best way to do it is show you. So Ralph, let's pull up a Google search and show them exactly what we're talking about here. Like something like a Shopify store owner might want to rank for.
Awesome. Yeah. So let me go ahead and share this Google search and show you the difference between how a search looks today versus what it used to be pre-AI overviews, pre-AI era changes that Google has made to the search results. So here's a search engine results page for natural hair care products. This is an example that we're going to use today. And the first thing that you're really going to notice is that, traditionally we might have had maybe a definition box that just said, what is natural hair care products? Maybe even your traditional shopping portion and discovery of the search engine results. But now we're getting AI overviews, which has been launched over the past, 1 to 2 years. See, the number one result then gets pushed down quite a bit, right? So it took me a couple scrolls after I expanded to get to the traditional blue links that we're used to seeing. So, the game has always been about, when it comes down to SEO, was ranking number one for those blue links. And now they're way down. And that's the reason why we're seeing a lot less clicks. Not only is it pushed back, but a lot of people get their answers and the questions answered with this AI overview. So the name of the game is changing. People aren't clicking in the same way that they used to. And there's a new search feature and a new area where we can get real estate and visibility that I don't think a lot of people are tapping into just yet.
So the number one ranked organic search result, research says that used to be 0.73%? What is that at now?
Yeah, it's dropped significantly. Since AI overviews rolled out, we're sitting at about a 0.26% click-through rate. So yeah, clicks have dropped. There's the phrase going around called 0-click searches, and that has significantly grown from the time that AI overviews rolled out. So there are a lot of searches that's happening right now that does not lead to a click, which doesn't lead to traffic going to your site.
Man, so folks, when you hear me talk about a 64% reduction in clicks, that's for the number one spot. To get to number 2, number 3, number 4, we're scrolling even further down past the sponsored, past the AI overview, and then it's asking you to keep talking to it even before you make it to the organic search results. So all that grinding, all that work, a lot of it is getting ate up here now.
Absolutely.
That's something. When I look at that looks to me like the rule book just got rewritten.
Google's never stayed the same. Search has never changed the same. Digital marketing has always evolved. This is just another step in the evolution. So of course, we do have strategies in place that business owners, shop owners can use to make sure that we're still staying relevant, that we're still ahead of search, and we're still attracting the audience and getting in front of them so that we can present the products and services that can help them best.
Jeez, that's painful. Well, like we said, we want to be able to help you folks have the unfair advantage. Let's talk a little bit more about what's dead, what's alive, and some of the things that they should be doing right now to just understand between old school SEO and new school AEO?
I'm going to get into the difference between old school, which is the SEO, and the new school, which is AEO. And I do want to make a slight distinction. SEO and AEO are one and the same, and they're an evolution of each other. It's just a new branch of SEO. So traditionally, with the old school way, we were looking at just ranking number one on Google. That was the main goal. Now, with AEO, we're looking at getting cited by AI as an answer. And that means looking at platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, AI overviews, and so much more, right? Traditionally, we were really only looking at Google, which was the top player. They owned about 98% of the search market. So that's a big distinction. We're going after more platforms as well. Part two, types of metrics that we're looking at keyword rankings. Now we're looking at how many times can we actually have AI cite and mention our brand to get in front of customers. So again, the difference is we're looking at how we can add our brand to the summaries that are appearing versus looking at those blue links that we always saw within our traditional Google space.
Awesome. So what folks are looking at right now is we have a chart that is breaking down the kind of the difference between old school SEO and the new school AEO. And again, there's like goal, platform, the metric. So maybe talk them through this chart that we have on screen.
All right, so real quick, I want to get into the difference of old school, which is a traditional SEO, and your new school, which is your AEO. AEO stands for Answer Engine Optimization. AEO is an evolution of SEO. There are a couple key distinctions that are different from the old way that we used to look at it versus the new way. Number one being the goal for old SEO was to rank number one on Google, while the new goal is to get cited by AI as an answer. We're also looking at several different platforms, right? Traditionally, with the old school SEO, we're looking at Google's search engine results page. That was pretty much it. Google owned about 90% of the search market. You might look at Yahoo, but for the most part, everybody was looking at Google. With the new school Answer Engine Optimization, or AEO, we're looking at ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI overviews, and even Gemini. So we have a couple different platforms that we have to essentially optimize for and see if we could get cited for and show up as an answer. And that's another key distinction. Again, we were focused on one player, now we're focused on many. When we're looking at the different types of metrics that we wanted to measure to understand if we were doing a good job or not, traditional SEO was looking at keyword rankings and the position that you landed on a particular page. Now we're looking at citation frequency. How often can we show up in the answers? How many times can AI actually mention our brand, right? So these key distinctions is changing how we approach things from a strategy perspective and some of the things that we need to do to make sure that we're successful when it comes to search. As we talked about, click-through rank has dropped quite a bit. There's the rise of zero-click searches. The old way was click-based. We really wanted people to visit our site. The new way, again, is answer-based. Did they get the right answers to the question as they're doing research? And can they use that information to make a buying decision? So you really have to think about how the user journey and how the buyer journey is changing, again, in order to create the strategy and move into the right direction. Mike, looks like you got a question for me.
Well, yeah, so we have this table on screen for you guys just to kind of help you see the differences, really visualize between old school and new school and what they're really trying to optimize for and kind of the differences between them. So there's a section here that talks about the metric, right? Can you talk about like keyword ranking, citation frequency, like maybe break that down for folks a little bit?
Yeah, so citation frequency. So if I take about 50 to maybe 100 different prompts that I know I want to search for, let's take the natural beauty, for example. And I say, and my prompt is, where can I find a natural beauty store near me? Or how do I even search for a good natural beauty store? Out of those prompts, how many times does your brand show up? Is it 25% of the time? Is it 50% of the time? That's what we're trying to increase, is the frequency, the amount of times that we are cited and mentioned within the AI platforms.
The goal, because again, before it was all trying to get content and that way Google can find you. But now, because of the way AI is, you're trying to put yourself in a position where multiple AIs can recommend you in different places, right? And that's what you mean by like citation frequency, like how often you're getting recommended by them, right? And whereas like Google Search Console is measured and the AI visibility tools, maybe break that down for folks a little bit.
Yeah, so as this new AI world is developing and AI search is also developing, there are also new tools that are coming about so that we are able to measure the visibility kind of in a different way than we were doing before. Remember, the goal was to rank for various keywords. So we had a lot of keyword tracking tools and different things like that. Now we're looking at AI visibility tools, which distributes prompts and tracks the prompt answers so that, again, we're tracking those same things, the frequency, the mention rate, and even a new metric, which is called sentiment, right? Again, this is probably another slight difference, is that before we didn't really have to worry about what was being said because we could kind of control that. They're looking at our pages and our content and things like that. But now AI is kind of gathering information and creating an opinion, right? And that's what sentiment is. Not only do you appear, but what is it saying about you?
Okay. And then another interesting note that we've been able to put together here from the research on this table, the traffic quality, right? 3.37 words per is your average search query. So again, best hair products, right? Best hair care products, right? But the average ChatGPT prompt is 23 words.
Yeah, I mean, even think about your personal usage of ChatGPT and how maybe you might get a little bit specific about the prompts that you are sharing, or even the follow-ups conversations that you're having with the ChatGPT. So while searches in Google would be best restaurant near me, you might go in and say and have a little bit more to say when you're having a personal conversation with your favorite chat.
So by getting cited, when the AI cites you to someone who is typing in these long queries, these long searches, giving a long prompt, that person is maybe even more qualified, more likely to be ready to make some sort of a purchase or some sort of decision when AI can rank them or AI can cite you after a really long query like that.
Yes, exactly. And again, those AI visibility tool platforms, there are a couple to look into, but they are able to help you see how you're looking in the landscape of AEO by generating various prompts that users are likely to ask, so you can see what type of answers and questions you come up for.
These last 3 lines in this table here, I think are going to hit the hardest and they're the most important for the sellers that are watching this video right now, right? Old results, who wins, and the timelines. That's where you can really see a gap between the old school SEO and the new school AEO. So with old results, like the number one, getting ranked number 1 on Google, now you're looking at just 26% click-through rate with the new AI overview, but then it's saying AI referral traffic converts 5 times better. Why is that?
So I think it's really the difference in the user journey and the experience that people are having when it comes down to whether it's researching or shopping for a particular service, product, or whatever the case may be. ChatGPT and generative AI has truncated the buyer's journey. Traditionally, we used to have to go on Google, we might go on social media, we might do a number of different searches or go through a number of different avenues to try to do research and gather information, which took time, right? Instead, now ChatGPT can kind of do a lot of that for you and bring the information right to you in one platform. So by the time a user actually clicks, I'm not clicking on an information on a blog that's saying, what are natural beauty products, and I'm really still in the research phase of trying to learn. By the time somebody clicks to your store and gets to your product, they've already done all the research and they already know what they want to buy. So that causes the conversion rate to be a lot higher.
So like you're saying, AI is really just shortening the journey where someone might be looking before and they're bouncing around and looking at this and then looking at that and looking at that, because AI can put it all in front of them in one place and they trust what AI is telling them. They're that much more likely to be ready to make a decision when they make it on over to your store.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big one right there. And, the big equalizer, right? Before, when you really had to pay agencies a lot to help manage the SEO and, the biggest, best agency, largest budget may have helped, but now it's more equalized.
Google and ChatGPT and tools also want to be helpful to people, so they reward information that's also helpful. So they're going to use you and cite your information if it's higher quality versus someone who's putting out lower quality information.
The biggest change, and why I say this is such a huge opportunity and why I wanted to drop this video now. The timeline, in the past with SEO rankings, right? 6 to 12 months to get something to rank and show up, right? Folks who've talked to agencies or SEO, what guys always say, 6 months before you really start to see results, right? Now you can get AI citations in 3 to 5 days.
It's been fairly quick. I would give it an average 1 to 3 weeks, but as quick as 3 to 5 days, it can happen for sure.
That's even on the long end. That is still way faster than traditional SEO was. And I guess that's why you say it's like an evolution. Like it's different, but it's like a high-powered version of what things were before, right? It's not just getting found in Google and being in the search results. It's more along the lines of like, hey, you can get these AI platforms and programs to recommend you. You can get cited in AI overviews, and by getting found and cited by these AIs, they can find you, recommend you, and get your stuff out there way faster than you ever could before.
Yeah, and that's the name of the game. The game is changing. We're getting more efficient when it comes down to search, and we're still very early in this transition. So if you get on now, you could be at the forefront of what's coming, of what's new.
That's a cheat code, folks. Right. So let's talk a little bit about how AEO actually works. Right. Because it sounds great, but I know what people watching this are thinking. Right? These are store owners. They're not marketers. How does it actually work? Like, what is ChatGPT pulling from when it answers a question? Right? Maybe you could break it down, as simple as possible for us.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, ChatGPT is reading tons of content, billions of pages, and being trained on some of that information. They're also searching the web to try to find the best sources that they trust the most. So there are really 3 things that make AI tools trust and therefore cite a piece of content. The number 1 thing is authority. Is your site trustworthy? And does ChatGPT, Google, Cloud, Perplexity trust that site and look at you as an authority within a particular topic? 2, is your content structured in a way that AI sources can pick through and use as a source for those answers? And then 3, coverage. Are you being talked in multiple places across the web, and is it not just your own site? Okay, so that all are the 3 pieces, or the 3 things that you need to have in a good place in order to raise your likelihood to be cited by an AI tool.
All right, when we talk about get cited, not just searched, right? We are talking about organic hair care products. So this is the new Google, or a branch of it at least, and it's doing the research, it's doing the work for us. More people are asking AI how to do things now than they did before. And here, boom, it's doing some research, and then bang, it's pulling stuff right in here. My top picks, inner sense.
Giving you an opinion, which ones are the best overall, and how what types of features, or what are the reasons that it's coming up with that conclusion. And then even citing the sources too. So that's where we want to be. We want to be cited, and we want to make sure there's a lot of information out there about our product so that it can create a clear opinion about why it should pick yours over another. So that's really the recommendation right there.
Wow. Now that hits hard, because as these AI platforms, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, as more and more people start using them and talking to them and getting comfortable with them and searching with them, again, as you mentioned, it's not just, Google, hey, here's what it is, read through it and do your research. But it's telling you, hey, you want this? Here's why it's the best overall one for you. So when we say people are 5 times more likely to be ready to make a purchase, or 5 times more likely to make a decision, well, yeah, if you're giving me opinion and the news, right? You're helping me form a conclusion faster because of how you're presenting information to me, right? People are searching for information to do research. What AI is doing, it's taking all that research and giving you an opinion. That's pretty crazy.
We are in the new world of search.
Right? This is where you want to be at. We're grinding to get ranked on first in Google, and someone's just going to come in and ask AI what the best one is, and AI is telling them and helping them form an opinion. Interesting. I wonder how many InnerSense, Pure Harmony, Rahua Classic, right? If we did, best natural, let's actually compare it even to like a Google. So here you're coming down, that's best organic. Let's do an actual best organic side by side, and let's see if it's the same people here, right? These are people paying to play. Here's your AI overview coming down. Well, these are the search results right here, aren't they, Ruff?
Yes, they are.
So they're grinding to get ranked here. Are those the same ones here? No, they're not. That's a change, right? So again, now you guys can really see how the grounds are shifting, right? Now here, that was a pretty clear example of why you want to get cited, right? You can do that exact same exercise in your favorite AI. because it's giving you opinion and information, and then faster results, because instead of taking months to get ranked and get found, now we could get found in days to weeks. That's definitely a pretty big advantage right now, right? It's not a long game anymore. It's like a right now game.
So it's definitely a right now game.
Let that sink in. That's why I want to make sure that everyone watching this has a leg up on the competition. AI is an equalizer right now, not just in ways that we can use it to create and get things faster, but also how we can get found sooner. You might be dealing with a company that's so much bigger than you, right? Have a high-priced SEO agency doing all these things for them to help them get ranked, and they're playing a long game. But if you can start getting cited, you can shortcut your success and you can really ramp up. All right, so now let's get into the secrets that are actually going to help you guys get cited and not just searched. Secret number 1 is create content that AI wants to cite. And this one actually leads directly to another video that I'm gonna put together, you guys, so stay tuned, right? But the stores that are getting cited by AI right now, all have one thing in common. It's not their domain authority or how much money they spent. A lot of it has to do with the type of content that they're publishing, right? So what type of content does AI actually want to cite?
So AI loves content that's formatted as an answer. That's really the key insight and the number one thing. So a couple key things that you need within your content to make sure that you get cited. Number 1, structured headings. Make sure that your content is structured in a way where you're using headers like H1s, H2s, H3s that can clearly signal what each section is going to cover. Use direct answers within the first 50 words of any article to answer the question very clear, where you answer first and explain later. You make sure you want to add statistics, data, and even cited sources. Content with stats gets 30 to 40% higher visibility in AI responses. Q sections. Make sure you're adding FAQs, AI overviews, and perplexity. Pull from question answer formats constantly. You can add this to the end of every blog post with about 3 to 5 questions that your customers would ask, and answer them quickly and immediately directly below. Last but not least is freshness matters enormously. The last 60 days are 1.9 times more likely to appear in AI overviews, and 95% of ChatGPT citations come from content updated within the last 10 months.
Man, that's wild when you think about it, because traditionally we had to wait so long to get results from SEO. Now, because we can get results and get cited by AI so much faster, they like fresh content. So we want to keep feeding them new and fresh stuff. And that's exactly why in my next video, I'm actually going to be breaking down a strategy that you guys can use to create content that AI loves to cite at warp speed. So you guys make sure that you stay tuned for that. But that's secret number 1 in action. Now, let's talk a little bit about secret number 2, how to optimize your store for AEO, not just the content, but the infrastructure, the guts. A lot of store owners watching this have Shopify stores, product pages, blogs, maybe some old SEO stuff, but what do they need to change or add to get AEO ready?
Good question. And the first thing I do want to say is don't abandon your SEO. SEO is the foundation of AEO, and good SEO will lead to good AEO. So what does good SEO and AEO look like? Number 1, this is a little bit more technical, but it's schema markup. This is code that tells AI specifically what types of content it's seeing and reading. This could look like schema for FAQ. This could look like articles. This could look like product. Again, it's an opportunity for us to get really specific and speak the language of the machines and AI, right? And really tell them what we mean and give them the context that it needs to make the best decisions. Number 2 is direct answer placement. We can't stress this enough. The most important content should answer questions that your customers are likely to ask, and do it very quickly within the first 50 words. AI tools are trained to find the clearest and the fastest answers. So your answer is way down in paragraph 4 and you asked it in paragraph 1, you're not waiting around for that. And then entity consistency. What does that really mean? When it comes to your products, when it comes to your brand, when it comes to even the people and the founders that are associated with their brand, are you giving a lot of information? Are you creating things like strong product pages that really give details about what your product is, what is good about it, what it's made of, and how it can really help? And even, again, the people that are associated with creating it, such as your founders and and different things like that. Google aggregates all of this information and puts it together. Think about it like them creating a profile about all the information that it knows about you, your business, and your products, and it stores it in order to add context to searches later. The more context it has, the more it could use it, and the more likely you are to come up for searches that are related to anything that you share context with.
Okay. So one thing that you mentioned earlier that I want to maybe break down a little bit for folks watching that don't speak marketing. When we talk about schema, especially since most Shopify stores have no schema on their blogs. And that's a big opportunity. It's a big gap. Break down what schema actually is.
Schema is essentially code that you're able to add context or be a little bit more specific about what something that appears on your website is. For example, if I have a page and it says, meet your team, and then I have, let's say, the CEO, which is Mike AEO here, I can literally create schema that's a person schema and mark Mike AEO and the information about him as a person. Now the search engines have no doubt in their mind about this person, the organization that this person is associated with, in what way this person is associated with this particular brand. So again, it's adding context, it's making sure it's very clear by using code versus natural language to explain it and provide the information.
So it's kind of like a name tag.
Kind of like a name tag, yes. You're putting name tags on all your information so that it can clearly identify everything that's on the page.
Bingo. That brings us to secret number 3, getting featured on third-party sites. Now, this is one I teased at earlier, the one most people don't really know about. When we talked a little bit about some of the data here, it really shocked me. Talk to folks a little bit about why it's so important and so powerful to get featured on third-party sites with AEO.
Yeah, so AI tools are 6.5 times more likely to cite a brand through a third-party source than from its own website. That's because, again, they're aggregating all the information at once. So they're looking at multiple sources, and your website is only one out of the sources that it's looking at. But really, let that sink in. 6.5 times more likely to cite your brand third-party sources than your own website. So what does that mean? Then we need to appear more on third-party sites. The entire foundation of traditional SEO was to get other sites to link to you, and the new game is to not only get them to link to you, but it's to get them to mention you, feature you, or even talk about you. So that's an entirely different strategy. While it still deals with third-party websites, the approach is slightly different. So we want them to talk about us. We want them to not only do want them to talk about us in a positive manner, right? We want the sentiment to be positive. That way they can take that information and apply it to the feature recommendations as people prompt the AI tools.
Man, that's definitely seems like a little bit of a different strategy. So what that looks like for like a Shopify store owner, it sounds like you're talking about like getting featured in like, best of roundups and kind of resources like that are just mentioning a few things. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, for sure. Getting featured in listicles or best ofs or side-by-side comparisons can definitely be helpful. And then continuing to highlight how your product is different or better than others on third-party websites is good for allowing the AI to have the information it needs to create a recommendation. Other things are looking at guest posts on niche sites, not just for backlinks, but for the brand mentions and topical association, being quoted as an expert in your category, even in small publications, and using things like digital PR to get featured, again, as an expert or as a brand mention within high authority publications. Think publications like news publications. Again, big would be something like Forbes, smaller would be something that's more niche and industry specific.
This is a level playing field that people have been waiting for. New brands, right? Larger, more established brands have spent hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on agencies and backlink campaigns for years now, right? Just for those, coveted top slots, top blue links in the search rankings. But, the new game is more about who's showing up more recently, who's showing up in more places, answering questions faster, more clearly, and who's getting talked about right now. So a store owner that, is creating content that really helps their customers, right? Really answers their questions. Like the better you know your customer, the better the content that you're going to make for them is, and that's going to help you win a game against brands much, much larger. And SEO, watching this is the new gold rush. The game is flipped on these folks. This is your time. The old SEO game right? This game that people played in the past trying to get ranked, right? That was really based on the grind or working with agencies to really build massive backlink campaigns and really laying the groundwork and seeds for years and years and years. The new game is all about creating the most helpful, most well-structured and specific content. That's what's getting talked about across the web, and that's how you can get cited by these AI, right? AEO. So 3 secrets to get cited, not just searched. Secret number 1, you want to create content AI wants to cite. We're going to lead with answers, use data, and keep it structured and fresh. Secret number 2, we want to optimize your store for AEO, schema markup, that's those name tags, right? Direct answers, and entity consistency, really combining SEO and AEO together. And then secret number 3, getting featured on third-party sites, because AI is 6.5 times more likely to cite you from someone else's page than your own. In my next video, I'm going to break down a tool that we use to help one of our posts not only get cited by AEO and jump to the top of the rankings, but also pull in thousands of visitors for free. I'm going to show you exactly how to use it on camera, and you'll be able to see exactly how it works. So in the meantime, for those of you trying to get ahead of the curve, now I've got a cheat code to help you guys. We created an AEO traffic cheat sheet. That's going to show you exactly the steps that you want to take to help you make sure that your store is ready to get cited, not just searched. It's going to talk to you a little bit about how to create content that AI wants to search and really put you ahead of the curve when it comes to getting cited by these new AI platforms, so that way you can finally get an advantage on some of these larger, more established brands. So if you want that AI traffic cheat sheet, you can grab that in the description below this video, ride that wave. And if you want to know more about the strategy that we use to drive thousands of eyeballs to our store for free by tapping into AI and AEO like we've talked about today, make sure you guys watch this video next.